Hey, today I'm going to show you how you can split your own wood without killing yourself, throwing your back out, and without burning up all your energy so you just feel dead. I split almost all of the firewood for our family. I used to say I split all of it, but now my 12-year-old son has started to split some with me, which is very nice. And if a 12-year-old can split wood, you can probably split wood too. I really enjoy splitting firewood. Now you may think, why not just get one of those gas-powered hydraulic splitters? And you sure can. I've used one. I don't like it as much as just splitting my own wood. The feel of the splitting maul in my hands, the sound of the wood splitting, the smell, I like that. I don't so much like the noise of the hydraulic splitter. You got to keep refilling it with gas, you got to do the maintenance. It's much more peaceful, more soothing to do it this way. And we heat our house with wood, so I split a lot of wood. So I've got a lot of experience in doing this without throwing my back out, without chopping your foot off. So I'm just going to show you some of the basics of how you can split wood. There are multiple techniques, but I'm going to show you the one that I like and the one that's the safest. It's very energy efficient and it gets the job done. And you're not going to throw your back out or cut your foot off. So some things you're going to need. Obviously, you'll need some wood to split. You're going to want something sturdy to set the wood on. Usually it's a bigger piece of wood like this. You can put it on the ground, but this is more efficient because we don't have to swing down so low to hit it. It also helps to keep the force of the strike from dissipating into the ground by spreading it out over a larger area. The downward force from this goes right into the bigger piece of wood, and the bigger piece of wood, being bigger, is less likely to sink into the ground from the force, so it makes it more efficient. You probably want to wear some gloves. You don't absolutely have to, but there is some friction involved, and you could get a blister. And then you will want a splitting maul. This is not an axe. An axe is thinner and lighter and sharper. An axe is made for chopping. A splitting maul is not nearly as sharp. It does come to this wedge end, but it's not sharp. You're not going to cut yourself on it. And it's thicker and heavier at the back. It's sort of like a combination of a wedge and a hammer. You get that force going, and then it just pushes its way through the wood and splits it. Okay, so let's talk about the basic form here. You want your feet, see if I stand this way, you want your feet to the side. You don't want to put one foot in front of the other, because if you miss, you could come down and hit yourself on the foot, which would probably ruin your day. And your shoes, and your foot. So, you want to have your feet side to side, keep your knees bent, flexible. That way, if you miss, you just hit some dirt, no big deal. As far as the distance away from the piece of wood you're going to split, just go ahead and reach out about where it's going to be and get everything comfy, and that's how far you want to be apart from it. A lot of people, they want to pick it up and swing it like this. That is definitely going to wear you out because leverage is not your friend right now. Just think about if you're holding a gallon of milk. If you're holding it close, it's really easy to hold it. If you're holding a gallon of milk out to the side, you're going to get wore out real fast because of leverage. It's the same thing. When you pick up the splitting maul, grab it right here by the head on there. Then it's much easier to pick up. So we bring it up here, one hand at the base, one hand up here at the head, and we've measured out how far we want to be back. So I'm holding it here, right? And then I put it up on my shoulder, I kind of toss it up in the air, and then I'm going to slide my hand down. As we bring it around, we're going to strike right here. Let me just go ahead and hit this one, and then we'll talk about what happened a little more. Actually, I'm going to scoot a little further back. I got to get this out of the way here. I don't want to fall in that hole, that's important. Also, make sure there's nothing above you, like a branch or a low power line or something weird. You don't want to grab onto anything. So, got my distance, lift it up like this, mechanical advantage, slide my hand down, and strike. And I hit just pretty much where I wanted to. Notice that I'm not hunching over and bending over when I strike. That would throw your back out. It's not so much that, in my mind, as I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking about this swinging in an arc like a rainbow. This is obviously arcing over, but I'm more thinking about down, not around. If the force is coming around, it's gonna pull out this direction, it's gonna pull up, it can pull your back out. You want to think about you're thinking about dropping down, you're bending at your knees more than anything. And you're just pulling you're pulling the head of the maul down, not pulling it down and around and back in. So you're mostly letting gravity do the work. You pick it up, you sort of just toss it over, and then you just pull down. You let gravity come down, you go down with it. You're just trying to help accelerate. You don't have to put a lot of force into this. You're just nudging gravity in the right direction. Look at that. Now, don't worry if it doesn't split. It's not like, I mean, you watch a movie or a TV show and every time they swing it just splits in half. And you'll have some logs like that, and those are great, very satisfying. Most of the time, things don't split on the first hit. It depends on what kind of wood you have. Pine, blah, splits in half, great. You may have a piece of elm that's all knotted and gnarly inside, and it does not want to split for nothing. It's okay. Just take your time, enjoy it. I'm getting pretty good consistency on where I hit. In fact, this time I'm going to turn to the side so you can see it from straight on perspective. It's cracking around. And I'm not putting much force into these at all. I'm not wearing myself out. If I was really putting the muscle to it, I could have had this split by now, but why wear myself out? This time, I've been hitting at the top. I'm going to aim a little on the back side. My feet are apart so that if I miss, I just hit the ground, no big deal. Yeah, that hit more in the middle. And if it's stuck, you just want to wiggle it back and forth and it will pop out. No big deal. Oh, we nearly got this one. Probably one more right in that same spot. Nice. Let's try this one. Okay, here's an interesting one. We've got this other branch that was coming out here. So the strategy on splitting this, I probably will be able to split it this way just fine, but it's not going to want to split this way at this fork where the branch came out. I mean, if you hit anything long enough, it'll break, but it's not going to be nice straight wood fibers through here. This is not going to want to split. Sometimes you're tempted you think, hey, this is a good target, let me just hit here. This area does not want to split. I'm going to try to hit it right here. Now, you can look at the top, and I've got cracks running here, cracks running here. It's usually a good idea to follow the cracks. So I'm going to try and hit right on that crack, and I bet we'll get a pretty good split. I'm looking at the wood grain. It kind of spirals around though, so what might happen, I might hit and I might get an uneven split, which is okay. We'll just hit and we'll see what happens. Golly, that chicken was upset. Okay, I'm going to turn back to the side so you can see I'm not trying to hunch over. That's going to hurt your back. I just want to drop. If it gets stuck, just wiggle it. You can put one hand on the log and wiggle it way back here with the other for a mechanical advantage. Don't try to pick the whole thing up and beat it. That'll wear you out. Oh yeah. I love that sound. It's so satisfying. Sit it right here. I stepped in a hole. You don't want to do that. Gosh, how to split wood safety without twisting your ankle. I got a kid over there. Okay, so really that's about all I'm going to get off of this, but what if? What if we try and come at an angle and get 2 more wedges off of this? We might be able to, or it might be too stubborn and not want to. Now, safety. If you're splitting wood and you get a kid that's curious and he wants to watch and he's getting too close, you got to shoo him off, because pieces can fly off of here and hit little kids. So, shoo, kid, shoo. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, so I'm going to try here. I do believe it's going to work. I went a little further to the right than I meant. Felt a little more stubborn. You're going to real quick, you're going to get to the point where you can feel the resistance, the vibration through the wood, and you can feel if it's going to be an easy one or a hard one. It's going to go. There's a crack right there. We're going to get it. And I just drop. This time I've selected a piece of pine. The different woods you pick will have different splitting characteristics. Pine is usually light, it's easy to lift, it's usually pretty easy to split. It does form creosote when you burn it, so a lot of people won't burn that in the fireplace. But if you've got a fire pit, or you just want to, make a little fire outside or start a brush pile, it's good stuff. So we're going to split this. This one is a lot fresher, it's wetter, hasn't dried out. Sometimes the fresh stuff does not want to split as easily. I don't think it really matters with pine. Some of them get really, really stubborn when they're fresh. If you let them dry out for several months, they'll be easier to split. Some of them are just stubborn pieces of wood and they do not want to split, and you might have to let them sit there a couple of years. It's okay. It will eventually break down enough that you can split it and it still be good firewood. So this one has no obvious cracks to follow, and we have a branch coming out of the side. So my strategy is I'm going to do like the other one. I'm going to try to go more or less perpendicular to the direction the branch came out. My feet side to side. I'm going to reach out and get my space. I don't always do that step anymore because I've done this so much I know exactly how far away I want to be. I'm holding it by the head to lift it up. Get it up here at my shoulder. My other hand is at the base of the handle. Swing it over, hand comes down, and I drop. Whoop. This one, I can feel how juicy this one is. I talked about getting a feel for the wood when you hit it. I can feel at the impact. This one is more like a sponge. It just absorbs the shock, all that fluid. So this one may not want to split, even though it is pine. So, what do you do when you have a stubborn one? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. I picked this out for a reason. It has a branch coming out this way, but it also had a branch coming out this way. I knew I picked this out for a special reason. This is an extra stubborn piece of wood. It's still wet and moist. It's soaking, flexible. It's soaking up the impact rather than splitting. And it has 2 branches coming out where it doesn't really want to split anywhere. When you have a really stubborn log, what do? One thing you could do is just set it, let it sit for a while, for several months, for a year, for 2 years. It'll eventually want to split. Another thing you can do is go at an edge. So instead of striking across the middle, I'm going to try and hit over here, away from these branches, at the edge. Now the closer you get to the edge, the more chance there is you could just miss. That's why it's important you keep your feet to the side. I'm not going to swing like this, because if I miss, I just ruin my day, and my shoes, and my foot. This way, if I miss, maybe I'll hit this, maybe I'll hit that. And since I'm bending my legs, I'm going to hit like this. I'm not going to swing way further than I thought and throw my back out, right? So I'm aiming for about here. See, I pulled a little to the right instinctively because I didn't want to miss. but it looks like it's working. I'm going to adjust this a little bit because of where these holes are. This is not a smart place to stand. I know I'm supposed to be teaching you the safe way, and look, I'm standing in a dumb spot. But I'm already set up. Hey, not bad. Now that I have this chunk taken out, I can work my way around, getting more little chunks. This also works on really big pieces too. You can chisel them away. Whoop, bonk. I think I've got. I'm gonna show you two more, and then I think you're gonna know everything you need to know. So let me get set back up again. Okay, this is my next to last one. This is a big boy log. This one's a little older. It's not wet. I think this was pine, so we have some things in our favor. Pine splits easy. Older, drier stuff splits easy. And boy, it sure is a big one, right? So if I was just to hit right across the middle, I could split it. It might take me a few hits, and I would get it. But let's say I'm not me. Let's say I'm my 12-year-old, or let's say I'm my wife who is splitting wood for some reason. Maybe I've thrown my back out or something. We need some firewood, and somebody's got to come split this. That's not me. What would my strategy be? Just like that last one, I would go more toward the edge, because this, this is over a foot across. This is, a good 1.5 feet across this way. It's almost 2 feet across this way. But if I hit right here, well, that's, maybe 8 or 10 inches. That's a lot more doable. So, feet are apart. I score off, and I'm not turning even to the whole thing. I'm turning toward the spot that I want to hit. Because if I turn even to this and I'm aiming at the side and miss, well, for one thing, it's going to wrench my back out sideways because I'm aiming at the side. Another thing, my foot is over here, so I want to turn to where I'm facing the part I'm striking. So if I miss, it hits the dirt, not my foot. So here's this part. Also, see, this one is about as big as the one below it. If this is sticking out over the edge, that could direct my force unevenly. It could do weird things. So I'm going to make sure that the force where I'm hitting it is over that bottom one. That felt pretty good. That's going to split. And I'm not putting a lot of force into this. I mean, there is energy involved, obviously. I'm picking up this, chunk of metal every time. But I'm not like full force. You can always take a break and get a drink of lemonade anyway. Nice. Nice. I'm kind of working my way down. There's a beetle. Mr. Beetle, get out of the way. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's pretty. That's so pretty. Let's just work our way around. Oh, yeah. This is a little older wood, obviously. Look at that. It's got some decomposition. But this will still be great in fire pit, roasting marshmallows and whatnot. I don't really eat marshmallows. Do you eat marshmallows? Why do I even cook over a campfire? I don't eat hot dogs either. I'll roast an apple. Have you ever roasted an apple over a campfire? You want to get the smaller apples because they take a long time to roast. Any of the apples, there's so much moisture. Get a smaller one, and the skin is going to blacken and burn. That's fine. That's fine. And let it sit there a long time. Taking your time roasting an apple, just like taking your time whittling down a big piece of wood. And when the heat has finally got down toward the center, it'll take longer than you think. Take it and scrape that blackened skin off of the apple, and then roll the apple in some cinnamon sugar. Oh, it's good. I was thinking about taking the center now. It feels pretty solid, so I think I'm going to keep whittling down at the side. Because I'm simulating not being me right now. I'm simulating being somebody else. Oop. It's a heart. Because I love splitting wood. That's why it's a heart. Whoa! Yeah. Look at all the directions. No wonder it doesn't want to split at the middle. These wood fibers, they're going all over the place. Maybe that wasn't pine. What was this? Pine's usually more straight. Maybe it was at a wonky spot. Okay, I don't want you to sit and just watch me swing at a piece of wood over and over again if I'm not adding any new information. So I'm going to take one more swing. If it splits, it splits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we're going to go to our last piece of wood. Good enough. I got a chunk off. Here we are at the last piece of wood. And I saved this for last for a reason. On the one hand, it's an easier piece of wood to split because it's so thin. On the other hand, it's a hard piece of wood to split because it's so long and because it's so thin. It's hard to hit. Longer pieces of wood are harder to split because there's just more wood to move all the way down. So, especially if you have a big wide piece, you want it to be extra short for splitting. I really don't need to split this. I could put that in the fire, my wife, my kids, anybody could put that in the fire. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to turn this way. These little skinny ones, these long skinny ones, are great practice for accuracy. When I don't want to hit a branch. When I want to hit it right in the middle, and I kind of have to hit it right in the middle or else it's going to knock the whole thing off. This one shouldn't take a whole lot of force. I think once it starts to split, the whole thing's just going to go. These are also good ones for kids as they're growing up and you want to teach them how to split one. The thinner ones split a lot easier, so they can get success with less effort. You know, they get that reward and that sense of accomplishment. So, I want to strike right there. My feet are apart. Keeping my knees loose because I want to lower myself with my knees, not with my back. Bringing it up with my hand here right under the head of it. Left hand at the bottom. I'm going to toss it up. I'm just doing all the basics again. Slide my hand down as I bend at my knees and bring it right down onto the target. Bonk! That one had a little springy resistance, but it's going to split just fine. I can feel it. I could feel it in the way it boinged. There we go. Stubborn. Nice. Oh, I love the smell of split wood, don't you? You will once you split your own wood, and you can't. Because splitting wood is fun. I was going to say easy. I guess easy is a little too much of an exaggeration. It's not hard. How about that? Perfectly doable, very satisfying and rewarding. And now you've got all the basics for safely splitting your own wood. There are plenty of other techniques which you can explore on your own, but this is all you really need to know to get to splitting. So good luck, have fun. I'll see you in another video. Bye.